All right. So, what's up, summoners? King Blair here. As the title of the stream suggests, we are going to be looking at all the updates that were released this week. There are quite a few updates. Usually these streams take about an hour to hour and a half for me to go over all the information, talk about it, theorize with you guys about future banners and stuff like that. So hopefully we get to have some good conversations and kind of show all the information that's coming out there if you weren't aware of it. It will be broken into sections. Usually it's pretty easy to find the Straze section when I'm talking about Straze and things of that nature. But yeah, there's a lot of cool units. So we know the next 4 banner rotations. We also know that Straze is confirmed to be the next ML hero, not ML Charles, which I was wrong about last Monday. So that one caught me off guard a little bit. I did not expect Straze this early. And hey, what's up, KSens? What's up, Nayla? But yeah, I did not expect Straze this early, but I think they knew that the community was kind of upset about the no call-up news. That's the other thing we're going to be talking about it. There is no call-up news yet. It's not confirmed to be canceled, and we kind of theorized a little bit that there was probably some issues on the back-end business side last Tuesday. Now, we don't know if this is confirmed or not, but it is taking them a lot longer to actually get those call-up news out to us. But in return for not getting call-up news, we get something a lot better. So that's really exciting, and we'll cover all of that stuff and all the events, including the current event that is up right now, which we'll talk about how you should do it. I know Car6 made a full video. I have not watched Car6's video, but I am sure that whatever he puts out there will be good information on this. But I have said before, and I'll say it again this time, you'd want to go for something on the right side, whether it's a ring, a neck, or a boot, and you want to keep your points for as long as possible until you get something with as close as possible to perfect substats. Right, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Straze too, but yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be some good stuff. Let's start with some of the more quote-unquote boring stuff, which was yesterday's update. What did we get yesterday? It's not too boring because we actually did get the equipment sets, with some actually being pretty significant that I think will actually make them good sets, and some being not so great, right? So let's just jump right in, right? And we'll cover all of them in pretty good detail. So we'll start with today's updates, then we'll move on to Straze, and then we'll move on to like more speculative topics that are not confirmed. So hey, what's up, dudes? All right, and this, I'm so excited to talk about Straze. When I saw that unit, I woke up and I was like, they did not disappoint with this one. So that's gonna be exciting. But okay, so first it's gonna be Arena. It's ending. That always usually happens around this time. Usually Guild Wars, Arena, and RTA, and they're on the same time. So Arena is ending really soon. Guild Wars ends this Friday. And then RTA ends July 8th. So you can expect a video next week talking about how to climb, because I know that's something that a lot of people are thinking about. There's a lot of new players playing this game that are doing stuff. So that's something we'll talk about, especially because we're not going to, even though we are confirmed to release a patch this coming Friday, the meta should not change until the end of the season. So we should keep the same season for at least the last 2 weeks. So it's pretty set in stone. The meta has kind of pretty much been figured out by people, and I'll try to give you guys that information, how to climb on season 4. So hopefully you guys have some time to build your carrots. That's the biggest one. Let me also get some royalty free music going, so you guys can relax while we talk about this stuff, because there's gonna be a lot of stuff. Hopefully it's not super loud. I always have to check the volumes of stuff, but yeah. All right, that's too loud for me, but it might not be loud enough for you guys. Let me double check. Okay, it should be fine. Let me know if it's too loud in the chat. But okay, let's keep going. Buff MLK, yeah, I don't know who they're gonna buff. I hope A Ravi, because A Ravi's coming in the coin shop, and I think she has a rerun soon at Riot for the Mystics. So okay, as far as Arena, the frames aren't anything crazy. I mean, it's not like most of us aren't gonna get these frames. It's only for the top 100, right? And for the people that actually really want to do that. I mean, they're really cool though. And I like that they changed the colors. Arena honestly gets such good rewards. So that's pretty cool. Buff Arby, I don't know about Buff Arby. But yeah, as far as these, it's not bad. I mean, it is what it is. We're going to get the new story. We get the conversion. New set coming, right? So this is the new set that's going to be coming this season, right? It is Resist set, which is probably the best set for Arena. Hear me out. Hear me out. And yes, Yermi, I'm bringing out that video, Yermi, later on. So if you want to see my concise thoughts over Crow and Robbie, wait until after this stream and the video will be posted. I already made the video. It's already updated. I just have to make it public. But I would say Crow is incredible. I would highly suggest, make sure you have enough for C-set, because we know we're getting C-set soon. So, okay. So typically, as far as set, This is probably the best set because it always rolled F-res. But they really screwed us up with substats again. As always. Right? I don't know why. They do rest gear, and the one time that they do rest gear, they don't put rest in the gear. And it's like, smilegate, what are you doing? This was your chance. This was your chance to make it good, right? So as far as this one's, the sword, I still think there will be a day where we will get an F-res scaling unit. But for now, this is still okay for F-res Emoken, right? So if you're building an F-res Emoken, I actually think this sword is fine because it does have most of the stats that Emoken wants, with the exception of critical hit damage. That one kind of stinks a little bit, that it's speed over critical hit damage. But it has a chance to roll all speed, or has a chance to roll all crit hit chance. So, but honestly, it's very niche piece. I honestly wouldn't get it unless you really need it. The chest, again, it's a little odd that this is critical hit chance. If you're able to dodge the critical hit chance, you can substat it out for something like speed, and then it's like really good support piece. That would be a really good support piece if you substat out the chest, right? So that's possible, right? That you can actually do. The helmet, again, this is trash. There's no F-res for an F-res set. There's effectiveness, and the only unit that I know that uses effectiveness and F-res are Dizzy and Sage Ball. Those two are the only two units that use both F-res and effectiveness, that have a viable build that uses those two stats. All other units, you don't see those stats ever, right? It's not viable, right? Unless you roll all speed. But even then, neither of those ones crit rate. A-Ros to an extent, but it's not great. A-Ros wants to be speedier and tankier. But this crit hit chance, it's like trash, right? It's tragic. It's not great. The boots are good. The boots, alright, hear me out. The boots I think are good because boots are hard to get sometimes. And the other thing is that besides the effectiveness, if you dodge effectiveness, it could be really good, right? This could be good. Boots can be good. Boots I think are probably the best piece, and I will probably be getting the boots, right? Because I feel like I can dodge the effectiveness. And even if I don't, as we mentioned, effectiveness F-res is not terrible, right? You can still slap that on Sage Ball, Dizzy, some high F-res unit if you're trying to play around with stuff. Maybe Basar if you really want to be like creative. The neck. This is garbage. the neck is actually kind of trash. Aside from F-res Emoken, that's the only unit in this game that can theoretically use this set. Or hear me out, if you want to make F-res a Ravi, right? So this, but even then, you would want crit damage. So you wouldn't even want attack. You honestly would want crit damage over attack. So I really don't know who this will go for. It's honestly not great. You can make some cheese. Yeah, A-Mero would be interesting. Like an F-res A-Mero if you're trying to play around with it. It's not great though. Yeah, you would want crit damage for Emoken though. So this is not great. Because you would want crit damage. But yeah, this one kind of sucks. The ring though is good. The ring is the only piece that's not absolute garbage. But again, that attack can screw you up. So you hopefully dodge attack, right? And you can substat that one out. So hopefully you get rolls on everywhere else but attack. So, hey, I appreciate it, Matthews. I'm glad you think I'm the best streamer. That makes me feel good about myself. But yeah, as far as the ring, honestly, the ring and the boots are usable. As well as the chest. Ish. Not much. And the sword can be usable, but I don't think it's worth your crystals. It's better just to get charms at this point. You probably have better gear from just farming Banshee than you will from this. But it's free. I mean, if you have extra points, it's there. Kra and Ravi. I talked about this in a video that's coming out in 1 hour. Right? Am I 3K'd? No, I gave up. I honestly gave up on RTA this season. I decayed again, and after I decayed for the 6th time this season, I accepted RTA is not for me this season. But as far as these banners, there will be a video coming out after the stream. It's already recorded. If you want the TLDR version of it, Kra is arguably the best knight in this game. Some people would say he's the best. I still think some other knights are better in different situations, but he is a timeless knight. There's no other knight that does what he does. So it's one of those units that you have to make sure you have pity for Seaside, because Seaside is coming July 1st, I believe. Let me see the calendar. Yeah, Seaside comes July 1st, right? So you have to have bookmarks for Seaside, right? I have been taking a lot of breaks. That is true as well. But Kra is a unit that I would tell you, if you have bookmarks for Seaside, I highly encourage you to go for Kra. Highly encourage it. And hey, what's up, Jeremy? He's a really good unit. And as far as Robbie, she's fallen off a lot in RTA. I don't think she's on the same status as she was about 4 months ago. 4 months ago, Robbie was in the realm of like a must-pull unit. Now she's just a really good unit. I think she's going to get the thing that happened to Alencia, where Alencia enjoyed a really good period of being broken, but then just slowly got shifted out of the meta. Robbie's being shifted out by mainly Carrot, right? Carrot kind of shifted her out. Matches are significantly faster. So she's not as good for RTA. She's still really good for Arena and Guild Wars defense. And for Guild Wars offense, she's still good. And she's still amazing for PvE. That never goes away, right? I still use her for adventure stages. I know that's something that people struggle with. So Robbie, not as must pull. Sigurd Scythe, best warrior artifact. So it's nice if you are pulling for Robbie. But Seaside, you have to have enough for Seaside. Also, I don't know why Shuffles thinks Crawl is that good. But Robbie, good unit, not a must pull, but a really solid option, right? If you have extra summons, I would encourage it. But because Seaside is right around the corner, you have to have bookmarks for Seaside. Again, everything. And yes, we find out the buff within a few hours. And if it's something incredible, I will be making a quick video tomorrow. That's not scheduled, but I will make a video for tomorrow if we actually get the patch early tomorrow, which I'm really excited for. If it's not significant, I'll just make a community post. But if it's something that I'm like, wow, this is game breaking, like Carrot and Maid, when I read that, I was like, wow, this could be game breaking, right? So I'll do it if we get that. But she's not a must pull. Sigurd's is a really good artifact though, so it's not bad if you pull her. Crow is borderline must pull. The few RGB units that people will tell you are must pulls are Crow, Basar, and there's one more that I know people are like, if this unit comes up, you grab them. Who was it? I can't think of it, but Crow and Basar are the two units that are RGB that are almost must pull units. Oh, Tama, yeah. There we go, Tama. So we got one water, one earth, and one fire. Those are kind of must pull units. If they come up, you better try to get those units, right? Kisa is not a must pull, but Tama, yeah. Thank you, chat, for reminding me. Yeah, it's Tama. That's who it is. I forgot. She's the PvE queen, right? So Craw, Tama, and Basar are the three RGB units that I would honestly give my seal of approval for actually going for. And yes, SSB coming, we will get to a second. Guild Wars season is ending this Friday. If you didn't know that, here's your reminder to tell your guild to square up for this last one. SSB is better than Crawl because SSB is limited. I would get SSB over Crawl. If you have to pull one or the other, get SSB because she's limited, Crawl is not. Politis is up there too. Politis is starting to go up there. But as far as this one, Guild Wars is ending. I mean, nothing crazy. All right, this one's a little bit more spicy. This one actually is about balancing of the game. So first, they actually made it easier for Katie's, which is cool. That's cool. That makes it easier. I mean, no one really farms it right now, and I don't think anyone will necessarily farm it anymore. Golem is finally subs. I have to delete that video because I put why no one farms Golem. Golem is actually worth farming now. He's actually viable. Like Golem is actually a good set now. No cap, Golem is a good set. You heard it here first. It's not bad. It's not great. It's not speed set, but it's still like it's a pretty solid set, right? For some nights. Like for Crawl, my cross HP jumped from 2480 to 25100 because of the buff. So that was cool. That was really fun. The attack is now the same roll value as crit damage. The health is the same as rest set and effectiveness set, and same with the defense. This needed to happen months ago, but they finally decided to do it. So if you already were using these sets, you got a small buff. That was fun. That was fun. You don't have to do Golem still, but if it's not a bad option for PvE. The attack sets, yeah, Senya, I was eyeing this attack set, and I want to farm attack set for Senya now. And high attack units, it might actually be better to put attack over crit damage. Right? And overall, attack set is technically quote-unquote better than crit damage set now. Right? Because you can actually overcap on crit damage. You can't overcap on attack. So quote-unquote, attack set is better than crit damage set. So that's cool. Right? So that's really fun. That's awesome. Katie's. Oh, man. This was disappointing. I will be honest with you guys. I was very disappointed in the buffs that they gave the Katie's Hunt set. I don't think it's worth farming still besides the penetration set. The revenge set, all they gave it was a 2% initial stat boost. Which, honestly, all it does is you have it becomes better than speed set 4% higher. Which is not significant enough. Before, it required you to be at, what was it? I believe it was like, you needed 15 speed which is like, you need it to be at 75% for this to be better. Now it's only 79%, right? Or let's say 80 for sake of math. It went from needing to be below 75% to needing below 80. It has the exact same problems as before. Oh, yo, 70%. Instead of 70, it's 75. Yeah. Math is hard. So that sucks, right? Revenge set, that 2% it's not significant enough to make it a broken set. There are units that can still use this set, right? What some people have mentioned is Ruel is not bad for this set. Kral is not bad for this set. Bloodblade Karen is not bad for this set. I would say Brewsters that are around in the board for a long time. Last Rider Kral honestly wouldn't be terrible with this set, right? I don't think Last Rider Kral would be terrible with this set, because usually he does go pretty low, and you can actually get a couple of turns with the bonus. But for the most part, it's like, man, it's tough. It's not great. It's not great. I still don't think it's a good set. It's just average now. It's like usable. It's niche. Andrew said it's still trash. I mean, 1% is not going to make a difference. This actually makes no difference. The current world champ is farming Katie's. I mean, Pen set is really good. We'll talk about that in a second. Maid, you want the speed on. Maid, you don't want her to be a turtle. And Maid usually gets one shot. They don't hit. People don't hit Maid unless they're one shotting her. But Last Order Croc could be interesting, right? It's a decent set for certain units, and there could be a unit in the future that breaks this set. That I will have to admit. There could be a unit in the future that makes this set super worth it, right? So there is potentially units in the future that can make this set really good. But as of right now, it just like, it was a nice little like boost up to make it like a niche set, right? I would say it's on the same level as something like, it's below lifesteal, but above like crit damage and attack set that's only for cleavers. It's pretty niche. I don't know who else would do that. But okay, injury set, it's still trash. I mean, it has all the same problems. It still gets blocked out by barrier. It still requires you to do this full 6%. It's still multiplicative. It's not doing anything. It still takes too long. Injury set's still trash. Pen set. This one is awesome. This one is beautiful. This is actually almost worth farming Katie's for. I would almost say it's low-key worth farming Katie's for. Because assuming the same level of gear, we already knew that Pen set was already better than crit set, right? We already knew that. Crit set was, like, Pen set was already superior than crit set. The only thing that makes crit set better is that you don't have to farm Katie's for it, right? It's already good. So, but assuming that everything is the same, Pen set was already better than crit set in terms of damage. You were already doing more damage. This extra 5% pushes this set to just being strictly better than crit set, even with slightly lower stats. That is amazing, right? That extra 5%, it's basically a straight 5% damage increase. If you want to look at it that way, you're essentially increasing your damage straight. So if you were doing like 1k attack, 1k damage, you are now doing 1,550, right? Which doesn't sound like a lot, but it goes a long way, right? That's just if you're doing 1,000. It gets proportionally bigger and bigger. That's an extra 500 every time you take a turn. That can do a lot of damage over time, that you're getting better and better stats because of this pen set over using a crit set, right? So that's awesome. I think pen set is actually almost worth farming for. Like, I think it's actually really good. Pen set is only single attack. Yeah, crit is still better for some. Yes, I agree, since crit, but for things like Sedum, right, that don't need crit rate, oh yeah, Sedum with this set, oh man, can you imagine a Sedum with pen set? That's a raw straight, because most people overcap on crit, right? Most people overcap their crit when they're building Sedum. But if they committed to just a pen set, oh yeah, you could have 100% crit on a Sedum that just pops anything in this game, right? A Robbie, I think, will be really good in this set as well. So A Robbie will be really interesting with this. The other thing that this might actually push, and that's something that is actually better, is crit neck is probably the best thing you can ever have now. Because with pen set, with a crit set neck, you already got the best roll value out of the crit set. But if you had a crit set and a crit neck main, it was too much. But now all Brewsters that can afford to have a crit set neck and have this pen set are going to be amazing, right? So things like, I would say something like A Robbie is the big one that comes to mind. So Crit, yeah, top model Luluka. Imagine top model Luluka with the crit set neck. She would almost already be 100% with the crit set neck, and all you have to worry about is crit damage, right? A Sid, Celine, yeah. All these units with naturally high crit rate, I think, are amazing. A Ravi's one that I really want to see how this set makes her better, especially if they buff A Ravi. I really want them to buff A Ravi this next patch, although I'm not getting my hopes up because I think she's kind of forgotten. But this is good. It's awesome. It makes crit neck really good, and it makes Katie's a viable one, right? It makes it a viable hunt. Emo Ricardo, I wouldn't use pen set. He doesn't even need crit rate. All he needs is attack. He should be doing damage from the burns for the most part. Crit rate, Edmund, crit main neck is considered to be the best as far as substats go. So, he said, yeah, there's a lot of MLs that need buffs. Yeah, that's going to be tough. But, yeah, so this is cool. It's good. It's really good. Yeah, A-Ravi did already get buffs, but, man, it's so sad how she is right now. Specialty change, this is quality of life changes. All right, so this was the only thing that they showed for this patch, right? So pretty good patch. I mean, we all got a buff because I'm pretty sure most of us had our Tamas on health set. My Rowan, I got a massive buff. My C's, I got a little buff because I did have her on a defense set. So overall, this is good. Golem's actually, like, the hunts are all viable as of right now. Do I have predictions? We can talk about the predictions later, but I want to touch on the actual stuff that came out. Does K-Essence pet sets does stack, but it is multiplicative. So think something like Rylet S3. Rylet S3 penetrates 60%, right? So or it penetrates 50%, not 60. So let's say a target has 1k defense. With Rylet's S3, it's assuming it's 500. The pen set does 10% or 15%. Let's just say it was 10%. It does 15% of that 500. So it is overall lower than just a raw 65%. It's more like 58% penetration when you use Rylet with Penset. So Penset does quote-unquote stack, but it's not as good. So there's that. I do wish, Keen, that they would do that for A-Ravi, but I don't think they will. I would really like that, though. They should have given the buffs that they gave to Axcott to A-Ravi. But yeah, crit neck is really hard to do because you need very optimized substats. But okay, now to the one that I'm actually really excited for. And I hope I'm able to pull for. So we're gonna switch over to the live stream because they usually reveal more stuff. But let's talk about the next MO hero, Straze. I cannot believe this guy is coming so soon. I think they really did this because they knew the community was upset. Man, this unit looks pretty good. At first glance, he looks pretty good. Someone leaked the damage, and it looked like the multiplier on the S3 was actually competent, right? Penetration more than 100? No, you cannot make more than 100. It's only up to 100. But okay, Straze. It's time, boys. Let's talk about this guy. So, man, let's just look at the S3 first, because honestly, I love the S3. But let's just go in order. Let's start with the stats, right? Let's start with the strats. Stat-wise. So I see a lot of talk on Reddit, on the Discord, and a lot of different places where people want to make him a bruiser, right? The thing that I will say is I think it'll be very hard for you to make him do his job as well as make him be a bruiser. And he inherently does have counters because of his stat line. So his stat line is very aggressive. He has the exact same stat line as Sigrid, right? And he has, besides S3 and the invincibility, he doesn't have much besides that. But he has very good base attack. The health and defense are not bad per se, but they're not bruiser and tank stats. The speed is actually pretty good. 109 is not terrible. It's faster than Bazaar, which is like the golden standard that people usually discuss for this. The crit rate is nice that they help you with that, and the crit damage is nice that they also help you with that. But I don't think he's a bruiser type unit. And I know it could be viable, and we'll talk about in a second why people are thinking of the Brewster build and why they want that. But we'll see. We'll see the other stuff. Yeah, it's not bad speed. Like, the speed is good. It's not slow. It's not a turtle, right? It's not Crow, right? It's not Destina. But it's not also like someone that can open, and he's very aggressive, like a Sigrid. He has the exact same stat lines as Sigrid. I don't think... I mean, I guess he could work as a Brewster in the, like with Maid Chloe and General Purges, but I don't think that'd be his best build. So, okay. First, I don't know why they started with the S1. That's kind of lame. But I guess we're starting with the S1. The S1 is very basic. Honestly, the S1 is very mediocre. All it does is give himself combat readiness. This is one of the reasons people are like, maybe I can put him on counter set. I don't think it's worth putting him on counter set just because of this one S1, right? It's not worth having counter set on a unit that this is all that S1 does, right? It doesn't even do like crazy damage, right? Like the ratios are kind of like been spoiled and it's nothing crazy. It's people see this and think counter, and I'm gonna tell you guys, stop. Don't think counter. I don't think it's that great for counter. I mean, it can catch people off guard, but it's not enough to justify losing all the stats you lose from speed set, from lifesteal set potentially. So I don't know if it's worth just for an S1. It's a little RNG just for this S1. That's a lot of stats lost for a chance to not do anything. Alright, S2. This S2 is actually really good. This is the part where it starts getting really, really spicy. And where this is another reason why people want to use him as a bruiser. And I can kind of see why you would think that. Although it's going to be really hard with the stat line that you're trying to go for. The S2 attacks all enemies and dispels 2 buffs. The thing that makes this really unique is that it's the first conditional ignore FRES. What I mean by that is that it's not something that you soul burn to get FRES. It's not something that you need to have like a buff like more. This is something that is a condition that if my attack is higher, then I ignore FRES. That is really cool. That part is really, really cool. And I think it'd be really, really unique, right? I think that this S2, it's kind of weird because of what his S3 is starting to do. But as a skill, in a vacuum, like if you didn't think this was a Straze and I just showed you this skill, you would think it's a really good skill, right? Because it's a 2 buff strip, and it does damage the less units that there are. That's really cool. And you can soul burn it, and it's spammable. So theoretically, you can strip your opponent's buff guaranteed every single turn in Frenzy. That's like having a counter set Lullaby Lin Dissy that strips all your buffs every single time. So that's cool, right? And Frenzy, it's really cool, right? It's a pretty unique skill. But now the S3, when I read this, when I woke up this morning, I was like, wait a minute. Whoa. I really had to read this skill like 3 times. I was like, did they really do this? I was like, did they really do this? I didn't believe it. And it does not ignore FRES, ignores the NA 15%. Yes. Ryu, ignore FRES, ignores the base one. But yeah, I could see Kenai what you say. We'll talk about the builds in a second. But this skill, oh man, it's ridiculously good. It is actually so good. I actually want to go to the official Straze thing because I think this would be so you guys can see how much damage this potentially can do. It's pretty ridiculous. Yes, Carrot to an extent beats it. But let me see here, right here. There we go. Straze reveal. Also, just his voice lines are ridiculously good. And they do open with the S3. So when I watched this morning, I was like, that is nuts for the right situations. And this is the skill that I honestly think is going to make him like a unit. So, okay, if you see the damage here, and we'll talk about the skill in a second. It did 34,000. I imagine this FCC is on Aureus, and it had a barrier. So if you take Aureus off, it realistically did like 28k. But it's a 12k HP Straze. So it's not an optimized Straze for just damage, right? Because this HP is not high enough to get to this naturally. This is kind of like a Brewster Straze, right? Kind of what they went for in this. So they released the ratios, and the ratios are better than Watcher Shuri, and the ratios are better than Operator Sigrid, right? So he has better ratios than Operator Sigrid and of Watcher Shuri, and he has higher base attack than both those units. This skill may kill at a ridiculously low number, like something ridiculous. And he gets invincibility guaranteed. So this skill's a lot, but let's break it down, right? Let's break down the skill. Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. Whoops. Okay. So let's actually read the skill and what it does. It's raw damage and survivability. So first, attacks all enemies. Okay, it's an AoE skill. and penetrates the defense of the caster with the highest max health by 30% up to 100%. This part is a mistake. It's supposed to be he will always get invincibility, right? They said it in the comments. He will always get the invincibility, right? He always gets invincibility. So that's a mistake on their part. So it's an S3 that one-shots an enemy and gives invincibility. What that means if your unit goes first, if your Straze goes before your opponent, you make it a 4v3, right? Depending on what build you go. You make it a 4v3, and you keep your Straze alive with invincibility. Now, the only thing is, as we mentioned, the stats are not crazy, right? The stat line of him is not crazy, so he's kind of squishy. Which does mean that he can die to other things. And if he's stripped, he can die. But your opponent gets 3 units. 1 to strip and 1 to do damage. Unless, of course, they have carrot. But if they got carrot, you're probably going to lose anyway. Right? No, Edmund, it was a mistranslation. It says it right here that he will always get invincibility. He will always get invincibility. He will always get invincibility. That's something that was a mistake on their part. But... man, this skill, I'm still trying to wrap my head around on this skill. But one thing to note, right, before you just assume that this unit's going to be the most broken thing on the planet, it is going to be really strong. But at its core, Straze is only really doing damage, and you can still kill him. And the penetration is only on 1. I think I disconnected. I hope y'all can hear me. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Okay, I think we're good. I don't know why my computer's having a weird issue. But yeah. So let's give an overall summary of everything we've seen to this point, right? Yeah, that's weird. I hate when YouTube does that. Sometimes YouTube messes up. But I'm glad y'all can still hear me. So that's good. And I can see on the little screen. No, it was me. It was me. Okay, we're good now. Yeah, we're good. We're good. But okay, let's give a summary of Straze as a whole. So inherently, Straze is a unit that his job is to make a 4v3. And he does his job extremely well. He will make a 4v3 like this, right? And it is really easy to actually pull it off, right? All you need to have is a unit that's higher, that you have higher attack in, and you'll probably one-shot them, right? As long as you have attack buff. So... and the ratio, the thing about it is I really want to play with the damage calculator, but I know it's not out just quite yet. It's something we'll get in 2 weeks, which kind of sucks. But it's higher than Operator Sigurd from what someone did. Like, there's like this famous thing that posted on Reddit that it is 0.95, which is high. They said it was like essentially Green Bologna's S3. So let's actually test it. Someone said it was Green Bologna's S3, essentially. If you wanted a damage comparison. According to the ratios, it's exactly like Bologna's, right? Except he has higher base stats. So let's assume you do a 3. Let's just say a standard 3,300 crit damage, right? Something pretty easy. Let's not give him anything and then make the target 0. I really hope this is not the case. Without attack buff, he's gonna do 20,000? There's no way, right? This is what someone said on Reddit. It's that it's basically the same ratios as Bologna's S3. So we just make that 0. And with 3,000 attack, 300 crit damage, there's no way. 20,000 attack? 20,000 attack. There's no way. Wait, the more I think about it, I'm like, if this is actually the modifier that they put out, that's crazy good. This is without attack buff. With attack buff, this kills anything in the game. Right? This is assuming, of course, you also get the full pen. Yeah, it's 0.95. Put Adamant Aureus. I mean, the thing about it is it's going to hit the Aureus unit, right? The Aureus unit, you're penetrating the defense, so Aureus is useless. Adamant Shield would actually do something. Adamant Shield would do something, but that's it. You're still doing, without attack buff, 17,000? There's no way. I mean, this is not for Cleve. This is just like a Brewster type build. I think a Brewster can actually get the stats. I think a Brewster can actually get these stats. But let's even if this is like a full Brewster Straze, right? Like a full the tankiest Straze you can possibly make. You can probably still hit these stats. You're telling me you can do 14,000 without attack buff through Adamant Shield, and if you give him attack from a Jeeper or made Chloe, you can do 21,000? There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. And if you're doing like full aggro, I really wonder if that data mine was right. So this is based off a data mine that someone put on Reddit. This is how much he would do in like a Cleve team. Because in a Cleve team, I could see this stat line, right? With attack buff. This is very doable for a Cleve team. That's killing anything in this game. Right? 4k attack. It's 4k attack. It's right there. 4k attack and 300 crit damage. But if y'all, and this is no artifact, right? Imagine if we put portrait on him just to mess with people. But if people want to put Sigurd Scythe on the Brewster, this could be big. If the ratios are what they say, and it is easy to get, the only thing you have to realize though is not gonna be 100% pen, right? Because it could theoretically be higher attack than you, and we don't know how the scaling works for the defense pen, so it could be a lot less, right? So that's why I don't think Brewster 1 works as well, because you get a much smaller percentage. But if you have attack buff, you're definitely getting the full one, right? So if you have attack buff, you're definitely getting this on like a Brewster-ish build. Wow. I do wonder if that's actually good. That's what the ratio. Let me see if I can find the post that kind of had like the data mine of Straze's ratios. I hope I pinned it on my computer, because I saw this morning and I was like, I think this is really relevant. If this actually is the ratios, and it's a respected data miner, but then again, you have to remember that smilegate still has time to change stuff, right? But this is where the post came. He's a very well-known data miner that said it, right? And yes, he like data mined everything and got all this stuff, and he said it's a 0.95 scaling. And someone mentioned in the comments that's the same as Bologna, which is why we're able to do the math. So yeah, it's already set up in the damage calculator for Bologna. Yeah. Wow. Wow, that's crazy, dude. He does have the same multipliers as Bologna. If he does, that's crazy. If he does, that's crazy. If he does, that's crazy. I don't know if they'll keep it that way though, so I don't want to hype myself up too much. But from what we know, right, I will do this assuming that the ratios are not trash. He has the potential to change the meta into a very aggressive meta, because Straze still has a clear weakness that all pure DPS damage units have. Kisa has the same problem, and she's way faster than him. He doesn't start with built-in survivability. So that has a full thing that it gives him a clear and defined weakness. If it becomes something that Straze is everywhere, people are just going to build their Kisas and their Acids to be extremely fast. Probably Acid. If we actually see Straze be really good, not only Cleve, but just aggro. Aggro is not necessarily Cleve. I'm an aggro player, but I'm not a Cleve player. But he has a clear defined weakness, right? Same thing that Tamara Lucas struggles against, right? All these DPSs that are not like RB, that are not like Landy, DPSs that don't have access to Guiding Light, and DPSs that don't have something like RB does, or like Carrot, are very susceptible to get it one shot, right? And he might get nerfed before release, so let's talk about the bad case scenario. Worst case scenario, Straze is a damage dealing unit that will only really be used for Cleve. Outside of Cleve, the Brewster, my biggest problem with him, again, these base stats are not ridiculous. Like, they are good, right? They're not bad. But the defensive stats are not something, like without Adamant or AC is getting deleted, right? Think Landy, right? Landy's about the same stats. I think Landy's Landy's similar, right? Now I'm kind of curious as far as like defensive stats. Landy's pretty similar, and people make pretty tanky Landys with damage, right? Which is what most people are gonna go for. So let me see how tanky Landy is. It should be pretty similar. Landy has more HP than Straze, and about the same defense. So, man. So Landy's bulkier than Straze. And without guiding light, you can delete a Landy out of the gate pretty easily. Right? So the other thing is Brewster wise, Brewster gets deleted by Carrot. The other thing why I don't like the Brewster build is because you are essentially making him tied to being with a General Purgus or a Maid Chloe. Because if Maid Chloe, or if you don't have both of those, if you don't have 2 attack buffers, Straze is not going to penetrate 100%, right? We were doing all the calculations based on him penetrating 100%. But if you don't have attack buff and you have a Brewster build, you're not going to have the 100% penetration, right? Unless they make it really easy to achieve it, right? But if they don't make it really easy to achieve with that attack buff, you're not getting the 100%. Which means you're not doing nearly as close as much damage as you were seeing from the calculator, right? But sometimes you don't need 100% pen, right? He does get 30%, but it's one of those things that at worst, he has a clear weakness, so I don't think we'll get to a point where Straze just like is in every single team composition. And that's why I'm a little skeptical on the Brewster build, right? I know I sound like a Debbie Downer. I'm not trying to say don't try it, right? By no means. I definitely think you should try a Brewster Straze. And like Counter said, just know that if you do Brewster Straze, you're not going to be killing a unit outright with the S3 unless you have attack buff and have a really well built Straze, like ridiculous gear, right? And we also don't know how fast the penetration scales, right? We don't know what this proportion is. This proportion could be really lenient, where you get it really easily, or it can be really strict, where like if a unit has 2k attack, you need to have like 6k attack to get the 100%, right? We don't know that, right? We don't know that. It could be a 1-to-1, and if it's a 1-to-1, that would mean if it has 2,000 attack, all you need is 2,500, and then Brewster Straze could be broken, right? So that much I can't say whether or not Brewster would be better than that or not. But Brewster has a clear inherent weakness that Brewster Landy does. When you play Landy, do you put your Landy on no guiding light, but you make her tanky? She's not as strong as Landy with guiding light. That's full damage, right? So he has that inherent weakness that he can't reach his invincibility without doing that. The other thing is if he doesn't kill, or there's a Maid Chloe to revive, and you have an attack one, he's really easy to get rid of. So that's why I'm skeptical on the defensive build. I don't want to outright say it's not going to be meta, because I definitely think I could see why, right? Because this S2 is ridiculous, right? If you're going to actually make a good counter set Straze or a lifesteal Straze on Sigurd Scythe, you know, if you can make Straze survive a burst, this S2 is pretty broken, right? Being able to negate your opponent's buffs every single turn, just over and over and over again. Being able to just strip buff, strip buff, strip buff, strip buff, right? Ignore Efres, right? If you go before Maid Chloe, you kill the Maid Chloe's target, you loop around and you strip all the invincibility, like all the revives from the Maid Chloe with this S2, right? This is a really good S2. Don't get me wrong, this S2 is ridiculous. Like, in a vacuum, this S2 is actually really powerful. It's just weird because his S3 is trying to one-shot, right? So it doesn't really have that cohesion, but those type of units are the best units, right? Because Operator Sigurd, her kit is not necessarily that cohesive, but it's really well. But the S2, imagine if you do have Brewster Straze, you could choose to not start with the S3 and start with the S2, right? Because you'll be going before Maid Chloe. Imagine that. You survive a burst from your opponent, you go before Maid Chloe, let's say you give him Sigurd Scythe, and you do that S2, you strip the Maid Chloe, and you heal back to full because Sigurd Scythe. Like, that I could see being extremely annoying, right? So that's why I don't want to count out the potential for Brewster Straze, but I don't think that's where he really fully shines. But that's what I like about his kit. Some people don't like when all the skills go towards one role. I love when that happens. I love that his S2 is not necessarily just a cleave or aggro skill. I like that it has some utility to it. And it still does damage, right? It does more damage when there's fewer enemies, and there usually will be. But yeah, he looks like a pretty good... But in a way, Maid can counter him as well, to an extent, because you can revive back the unit that dies after Straze goes. Where I think Straze will really shine. So if you guys didn't know, right? We know Carrot. Carrot destroys him as well. By the way, Carrot will destroy Straze in any type of team. Unless it's a Cleve team. But, recently RTA. If you guys have been playing higher up. I haven't been playing, but I hear a lot of stories from my friends. And from other people. Because of how prevalent Straze, not Straze, because of how prevalent Carrot is in the meta right now. She's the unit to beat. Because she's so prevalent, Cleve has seen a massive resurgence, right? Cleve has seen one of the biggest resurgences we've seen. Cleve numbers, I think, are the highest they've ever been since Season 1, right? That's how good Cleve is right now. Cleve is no longer a meme strategy. Cleve is a legitimate strategy that's contender for being the best strategy in RTA. I'm not even joking with you guys. They were legit one unit away from getting there. And Straze might be the unit that pushes them over the edge. Because the thing with Straze is one of the teams that Cleve struggles with the most is Fallen Cecilia. Right? And they are forced to pre-ban Fallen Cecilia. Because Fallen Cecilia is usually too much for them to deal with. They do have Operator Sigrid, but Operator Sigrid is sometimes not enough. And is sometimes not able to one-shot. Well, now, if you have Cleve and you have Straze, right, you can potentially ban Polides or ban Sage Ball or ban a Sid, pre-ban. You don't have to pre-ban Fallen Cecilia anymore for Cleve. And that is extremely significant because that means they can take Polides for themselves for Cleve, pre-ban Sage Ball, and now Cleve essentially has no counters. Like realistically, besides outspeeding, which is a gear check, right? So you can pre-ban Sage Ball, let them have FCC, take Polides away from them, and besides outspeeding them, you don't have realistic counters to Cleve. Because he will kill any FCC. This Straze will kill any FCC out the gate and make it hard for the opponent to retaliate afterwards. Because you'll be able to do that. No more Aureus. He kills any Aureus holder from the S3. Sets up into the rest of your Cleve quite easily. He kills, you can ban the Sid in the drafting phase. Or pre-ban a Sid, depending if you really are scared of them. And then on top of that, if they don't bring a stripper, which most likely, they're not bringing a stripper against Straze, he was guaranteed an S2, which essentially means he can potentially wipe a party. So, it's one of those situations where, theoretically, Straze can actually be the unit that pushes Cleve over the edge. And we've been seeing Cleve moving towards that direction, slowly. Where Cleve is starting to become like the dominant playstyle. Right now, before Cleve was like 5% at the start of the season. It was a dying playstyle. Then it was 10. Then it was 15. Right now, I would say it's almost like 25% plus of matches are Cleve based. With aggro being like really close behind. Right? And now with Straze being released, oh, we are getting into a very aggressive meta. And I still think that's where Straze will shine the best is in aggressive team compositions. Because forcing a 4v3 is hard. Right? That's a hard thing to come back from. Forcing the opponent to have to fight you with a 4v3 is very hard. Now, there will be tech to counter Straze. I am sure Senya is going to be coming like no other. I can see high HP, high damage, no speed Senyas, like attack set Senya with a like health set, something crazy like that, coming in to play to eat the Straze's penetration, right? Or people are saying Holiday Yuffie. It's another potential target that can take away the Straze's advantage, right? There are ways to deal with the advantage, right? There are ways, there's techs, there's going to be options, which is why I think it can go both ways. Let's assume the ratios are what they are, right? Assuming the ratios are what we see here today, the Brewster build seems viable, but has a lot of counters to it, where you would really have to protect your Straze for him to be able to pop off, and you may not even get the full penetration, and you can lose to a lot of different units in the meta. But you can make use of this amazing S2, which I honestly think is one of the best S2s in this game. Like, in a vacuum, is one of the best S2s in the game. But, as far as Cleve, this might be the tool that pushes Cleve over the edge, right? So it may not be necessarily that Straze is the one that makes everything, that makes it so it's like the meta shifted, but it's just an accumulation of everything we've been getting, right? With all the new banners that we've gotten, with Carrot being so prevalent, with Chloe being so prevalent, with these more aggressive Brewster teams being so prevalent, Cleve coming back, we might be seeing a aggro meta, which we haven't seen in a very long time, right? The last aggro, like the last true aggro meta we got was early season 3 when F10A was like really strong, like unchecked F10A, like the start of season 3 and season 1. That was the only few times we had a very aggressive meta, and it slowed down. Like all the other metas have been tank. So it'll be interesting if we'll actually see Cleve domination for a little bit. If this is the unit that will push them over. So it'll be interesting to see. All in all, he looks like a really good unit. He looks like he'll be versatile. We'll see after the first couple of weeks where he'll fall in the grand scheme of things. If the S2 is really enough to push Brewster Straze to be the superior build, or if Cleve Straze just remains superior because it just one-shots anything in this game. But for Arena and Guild Wars, he's amazing, right? Without a doubt, for Arena and Guild Wars, he is a great unit. So at worst, he's an amazing Arena and Guild Wars unit. At best, he completely changes RTA meta. So it'll be fun. It'll be interesting. It'll be a really good Arena Guild Wars unit at the worst. That's like absolute worst. He'll be a great Arena and Guild Wars defense unit. At best, he'll be a very scary unit that can push Cleve over the edge and make Cleve one of the superior playstyles. But he does have weaknesses, right? He's not a end-all be-all unit. I see a lot of people thinking he is unstoppable and has no counters. No, he actually has quite a bit of counters. More than some of the DPSs we've gotten, right? He has more counters than Carrot, realistically. I am thinking of pulling him. If I do pull him, I'll make a showcase on him. I'll have to rush build it. But it's a good Arena unit at the worst, right? So he does have a lot. I do wonder if it becomes really prevalent, Acid may come back like really hard. Just because I honestly think Acid is a really good unit to invest in right now. So for this, for Straze, he loses to Acid. He loses to getting outsped. He loses to Secret Tech out there since he can't penetrate. He, to an extent, can lose to make Chloe if you don't have enough damage to finish off the job. He does have ways of dealing with this S3 passive. You know, there's ways to deal with it. He has no sustain. For the Brewster, I mean, he's a warrior, so all warriors have access to Secret Scythe. Right, he loses to ammo cap. That's like this Cleve build, and then for the Brewster build, he hard loses to LQC in Brewster. He hard loses to Carrot in Brewster. He hard loses to not Cowrick. ML, what's his name? ML Kawasu. He loses to ML Kawasu as a Brewster, right? I don't think as a Brewster he has a lot of counters. I don't think he's like he'll be a good Brewster unit, maybe. Like he'll be decent as a Brewster unit, but as a Cleve unit is where I think he'll find his home. I don't think he's the end all be all OP unit for him. Like he's not a unit that is gonna like, okay, he's gonna be really good and he may change the meta because there's so much support around him, but he himself inherently has counters. That's all I'm trying to say with this, right? He inherently has counters, which means that there is a good chance that he won't dominate the meta, but he'll be the last tool needed for Cleve. He'll be the last piece of the puzzle, right? He might be the last piece of the puzzle to make Cleve the best build, but he may himself not be that strong, right? Do y'all get what I'm saying? Right? I just don't want you guys to feel like he's gonna break the game, or if he's the only one that's gonna break the game, because there's a chance to be disappointed, but there's a really good chance he'll definitely see play, and he's definitely a usable unit. And most of the time, that's usually enough for me. If the character is usable, if the character is unique, and if it has a role that no other unit can fill, boom, I like the unit. Right, so he's a usable unit that can be strong, that has a cool niche, right? So that's cool, right? I like it. I like it. It's not bad, but I do think we're going to see an aggro meta. So that is it for Straze. I've been reading what you guys are saying. Big HP supports. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, it is a good chance that we'll see an aggro meta. And we already were trending towards an aggro meta. Like the few times I've been climbing in RTA, let me just show you guys some of the matches that I've been getting recently. Before, of course, I kind of retired this season, so I'm not as up to date with the RTA meta as I normally am. But I do try to talk with people that are very competitive in RTA and I try to fight them quite often. But if I look at all my matches, aggro, 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 Cleve, counter Cleve, right? Aggro versus aggro tank team, right? Aggro Brewster. This is almost full Brewster versus aggro, right? And I won that one. Aggro versus Brewster, and aggro won, right? Because I'm the aggro player. That's the one we just looked at. Cleve versus trying to counter Cleve. Cleve. Oh, that's the one we just looked at. Cleve. Aggro Brewster. Aggro Brewster. I mean, I'm playing Aggro Brewster too, but aggro. Y'all see what I'm saying? There's almost legitimately everything is almost very aggro right now. Right? So that's crazy. Aggro, evil cereal. Essentially, aggro means that you're trying to take turn 1, and like you see all my units, there's only one knight. Usually, aggro is a team that almost all your units are DPS. This is not aggro on this right side. I am though. Where you take like 3 DPS units and 1 support, and you kind of go from there. It's not necessarily Cleve, because you're not outspeeding the opponent and have all squishy units. I can take a couple hits, right? Like this team can take a couple hits, but it is very aggressive in what I'm trying to do. This one, I got outsped, so that sucks, but it happens. This guy also, I mean, he only has Fallen Cecilia. Everything else is very aggressive, right? All this is aggro, right? Very aggressive units, very, very hard-hitting units, a lot of attack buffs. You're trying to do such a big early game burst that your opponent cannot retaliate. The only problem is Cleve is more about getting turn 1 and doing that. Aggro doesn't necessarily have to take turn 1, right? Cleve is all going for turn 1. Cleve is committed to turn 1 and killing you after turn 1. After turn 1, Cleve loses all steam, right? Let me find a Cleve team. Like this is a Cleve team. After turn 1, this guy is done, right? Once he's done with turn 1, he's done. His burst is done. But for my aggro teams, it's like, oh, we did turn 1. Okay, now I still have Rylet. I still have RB Revive. I still have the Tamana Luluka, right? That's more of the aggro over Cleve. It's kind of like a variant of Cleve, if that makes sense to you guys. So that's cool. But, again, you also have to take all these discussions with a grain of salt, because tomorrow they can buff. I don't know. Who's that unit that could just destroy Cleve that they could buff? That makes just Brewster's broken. Who could they buff that would make Brewster's broken? Ken. Yeah. If Ken gets a buff tomorrow, and they buff Ken to a point where he like counters every single time and does some crazy stuff, Ken could actually stop Cleve. Ironically, if they buff Ken, we may move back from the aggro meta. I don't think Robbie needs one. Straze is likely to get one though. Alright, so let's go over the last few announcements, and then we'll go to the theory region where I kind of try to predict who's going to get a buff, and we'll see if I'm wrong or right tomorrow. So hopefully, let's finish off the stuff we were talking about. Some other updates, if you guys don't watch the stream, this is kind of like what we were getting. Alright, this event's the set event. Where is it? It was something that, I think it was the other stream that they talked about. This one's a video coming out tomorrow. Oh, they're talking about the next tower. That's cool. Hey, that's nice. We should be getting Tower 5 very soon. Right? So we should be getting Tower... Oh, this is really rip. Right? So this sucks. We are losing Fire Expedition. Fire Expedition's gone for at least 2 months. RIP July and August. It's not going to be a fun month. This sucks. A lot. A lot. This really sucks. Fire Expedition's gone. Yep. After this month, say goodbye to Fire Expedition for the next 2 months. So, yeah. Have fun with that. So that's gonna suck a lot. No more speed gems, no more crit gems. I don't know why they didn't take out this stupid freaking boss. Although Golem is decent now, so it's not as bad, but it's still pretty bad. This sucks, right? I don't know what to say about it. I mean, we knew it was coming. They tried to stall it for a long time. They did stall for it to be the last one for as long as possible. But then they just put up a middle finger and we're like, oh, you're not getting fire back for at least 2 months. The other thing is that we're supposed to get Light Expedition sometime in the future. So if we get can you imagine if they don't put fire back next rotation, but they put Light Expedition? Oh my god, that would suck. I don't want to think about that. Hopefully, knock on wood, make sure that that's not what happens and that they put fire back and not put Light Expedition, because then we'll be waiting for 4 months before we see fire. But okay, as far as July 1st, Straze is coming back, and as well as Straze, we are getting a Seaside Bologna rerun. It is finally time for Seaside Bologna rerun. Boys, get ready. Boys and girls, because I know there's some girls that watch the channel. I appreciate it. Boys and girls, get ready for a Seaside rerun. If you're not ready for this, it's coming next week. So I hope you've been saving. I hope everyone is able to get their drinks from the shop with the artifact powder that you should have been saving, because SSB is back in business. It is finally here. But we can get at least one drink from the shop. So we're guaranteed a seaside drink. So that's awesome. That's A+. But this is a must pull unit. You have to pull it. You have to get a seaside. If you don't have seaside right now, you better find a way to get a seaside. If you need to pull out the credit card, pull out the credit card. She is good. It's an eternal unit. She's not just good for PvP. She's one of the best PvE units in this game. Arguably the best PvE unit in this game, right? Aside from Tama. So, just so y'all know, Seaside Bellona is one of the best units in this game has to offer. And we're not getting a lot of new PvE content that will make her bad. Dude, it's actually something you will regret if you don't wait for her. That's all I gotta say. I really hope y'all been saving free to play. But if you're not free to play, that may change after next week. So, just know that. She's a unit that you will regret not pulling for. So, just know that. I really hope y'all have been saving. Something that KK mentioned in the chat that I saw. Cess is getting a rerun, so there's a really good chance Cess will get a buff. I really, really hope he does get a buff. He's a really cool looking unit, and he just looks awesome, right? So there's a good chance that Cess will get a buff because he's getting a rerun, because it's a Summerside story, right? Cess who exactly? Cess who? If he doesn't get a buff, you can forget about him. He's useless unless you really like Osbandos, but honestly, this is the unit. Even if you don't like PvP, if you're not a PvP player, that doesn't matter. This is one of the best PvE units. I can think of very few content that she doesn't work for PvE. You could pretty much work her everywhere in PvE. Sass carry counter, I don't know, maybe they might. Maybe they might buff him to do that, but I don't know if they will. So yes, it's coming, and of course we also get Holiday Euphine. She will be coming much later. So there's two things about this that are really good. This means that the collab won't come till July, because they are giving us a full month of limited units, right? We are getting a full month of limited units because right after Holiday Euphine comes out, we are probably getting Iseria. So all of July will be Bellona and Holiday Euphine, right? And I think the Bellona banner ends the 15th. So there's a banner in between, like a rest banner. Then it's Holiday Euphine rerun. And then we're likely to get the Iseria, right? We are very likely to get Iseria. So just know that there's going to be a unit after this, but you have a pretty long time to save after Seaside, which means that you can go all in on Seaside and feel, I don't want to say 100% safe because smilegate can do some crazy stuff and give us another limited banner right after, but we will likely get the next limited mid-August, which means we're probably not getting the collab until October. So that kind of sucks that we may not be getting the collab till October. But I think Euphine, she's getting 2 weeks, so I don't think Iseria is going to be coming till after Holiday Euphine, which means that she probably won't come till the 5th. That's over a month from now. In 1 month, a free-to-play player can realistically get halfway to Pity, right? So you will have time to save for Iseria after Seaside, which is nice. But that means that you may not have that much time to save for collab, because I think they don't want to make the collab too far after. So just know that you're not going to get a lot of it. And yes, you can get multiple drinks. There are a lot of ways to get drinks. Drinks are a really good artifact. But thankfully, so one thing, if you think I'm not someone that is confident in my smilegate theory, look at my skystones and look at my bookmarks. I am dry. I am completely dry. You guys want to know why I am dry? Because the second I saw that announcement with the banners, I went all in for Iseria. So I have Iseria now, which is a unit I've been wanting for forever. I did go to Pity on Iseria. I used all my resources on Iseria. So, because I already have Seaside, I already have Holiday Euphine, I'm not pulling on their banners. But I went all in on Iseria. I did Pity Iseria. I bought the skin for Iseria. I am dry. I am completely dry because I am so confident that the collab is not coming for so long that I'm chilling, right? I think I have time to get bookmarks for Iseria and for the other ones. So I am quite confident, to say the least, that I don't think Iseria or the collab will be coming very soon. So for the newer players, you still have to save because of Seaside and because of the collab. But if you're someone that already has Seaside, if you're already someone that has Holiday Youthing, you can relax. All right, we can relax a little bit. So I went balls deep, bro. I went all the way in on that Iseria banner. All the way to pity. I saved the screenshot too because I was like, I cannot believe I'm pitting this unit. But I really wanted her, right? So I pulled for her. I did it. And yes, I am pulling for Straze. Mystic Pity is not terrible. Mystic Pity, before we hate. So this is a good segue. My Mystic Pity is not bad. The only problem is I used my Sky Stones without refreshing shop because I found out way too late and I didn't have to refresh shop. I was about to go to sleep when I found out that the banner was getting moved, that the collab got moved, and I went like super quick and I didn't do the refresh. Because of that, I don't have as many Mystics, but I do have a ton of gold saved up. So I will be refreshing Mystic Shop like a madman, but kind of a segue. Why I think I may be able to get Pity. If you guys don't know, you can realistically get 70 Mystics a month, right? And I know it sounds like a lot, but Refresh Shop is more broken than you guys realize, right? So I can actually get about 70, and I've timed it, which means I need to get about 30 summons for Straze. And yes, it costs everything. It costs everything for Iseria. It would cost all the resources I had saved up. Ilnoth and Iseria completely just drained everything. I was having like summoning itch, so 70 Mystic, you can get 70 Mystic summons a month easily. If not easily, it's not easy because you have to refresh shop like crazy. And we also have Huchi, but refresh shop is really good. How do you feel if you pull, dude? If I pull Iseria from one of those things, I'm actually gonna mold. You're gonna see a post from me. Yeah, they did us dirty, but I really wanted Iseria, so I went in. But that kind of segues us to, let me see if I can look for this. They should have it up now. But because because the collab got pushed back, we are getting a ton of rewards. We are getting dummy rewards. So we get free on equip event for the whole month of July every single weekend. That is crazy. That is, why is SSB good, Sean? Man, the big thing about Seaside's good. She has a consistent decreased defense. She has consistent target debuff. She has amazing S3, and she can consistently pump out damage with her S2. She's a unit that can do a big amount of damage when it's not her turn. She does the most damage when it's not her turn, and most units can't do that, right? Her S2 is so cyclable, it's ridiculous. This skill you can cycle almost every single turn and do a ton of damage AoE. And for PvE, AoE decreased defense, consistent damage. She has self-sustain with Aureus. She does massive damage on S3. So she can be a massive damage wall that applies debuffs with this S1 for Wyvern and stuff like that. And she can also decrease defense. It's consistent because if you can give her something like Miss Confile. If you give her Miss Confile, she can get this decreased defense here, and she can get it from her S1 as well. So you get a lot of ways for safety to get that decreased defense. She's insane. You need SSB. SSB is ridiculous. She's amazing. I cannot, like, I would have to, I could be here for 50 minutes, and I don't have that type of time. So, but okay, going back to this one, right? So we are getting some of the rewards we're getting that are kind of awesome. Free on equip event every weekend and buff event, which means that every Saturday or Sunday, we are getting a hunt buff event. So make sure you have your new players. I cannot stress this enough. Make sure you have your Wyvern teams as close to 13 as possible. Even if your runs take 20 minutes. Make sure you have your Wyvern 13 teams ready. You will never get a chance to get this many crafting materials. If you're a new player, this is your chance to propel yourself forward and catch up to late game players. If you're farming every single hunt buff event every single day and you save all your energy for these events every single weekend, you can get the most amount. Like, try to get your Wyvern 13 as soon as possible because you're going to get dummy resources from this event. This is your chance to propel yourself forward. You're never going to get a chance like this again in a very long time, right? You get free on equip to make just break apart every single PvP team you have right now. Break every single PvP team you have right now. If you already made Masters in RTA, break them apart. Make sure you can do Wyvern 13. If you can't even do RTA Masters, just make sure you're able to farm on the weekends and then put back to PvP on Monday, right? When it's still free on equip, right? Or on Saturday, right? Do the event, free on equip, boom, boom, change back. Then you're done. So it is, you guys don't understand how much you can get during this event. It is imperative for newer players that they are playing as much as possible. For late game players, this is also kind of like a wake up, because including myself, right? If I don't farm this event, I'm going to be behind. I'm going to drop from being a high level champion player to being a mid to low champion level player because my gear's not going to match up. This is a lot. There are people that are going to spend every single Skystone that already has Seaside Bellona, right? It's pretty crazy the amount of things you can get. It may be every single day, but even if it's just one day, it's just so much. You cannot miss out on this. You cannot miss out on this. It is just, it's too much. It's too much. I might make a video on how to prepare for it, but I already made all the videos for this weekend, so I might make it, but I might make it for Monday. So you need to make the most out of this event, right? We're also getting a 5-star summoning ticket, an artifact ticket, which is, we get this tomorrow, which is awesome. It starts tomorrow, and then we get another one that gives us another 5-star. So right now is probably the best time to start Epic 7. So I will probably be making a reroll guide. For the new players, all I ask is to help the channel since I do the reroll guide. Hopefully you guys are able to, help me out a little bit. Watch the video. I know you guys already know how to reroll. But for new players, we want to grow the community. So I do want to do a reroll guide for next week. Before the, during the Seaside banner. To try to get people to play. For Epic 7. Because it's the best time to start Epic 7 right now. So there's that. So we do get two free 5 stars pretty much. Or I think just one actually. We get 1 free 5-star and all this other stuff. Like a bunch of goodies. And we also get 700 mystics. They don't show it here. But we get 700 mystics. Yeah. We get the Covenant summons. We get 70. We are getting so much free stuff. It's kind of ridiculous. And we get 700 mystics. Right? So this is why I think I can reach pity for Straze. Is because of the 700 mystic medal. I do need to do the hunt event. I completely agree. I am super washed. I need to do this hunt event. But the thing about it, so this is kind of like an update on my life. I'm not going to be able to stream this weekend or next weekend, which also means I'm not able to actually farm the events. I cannot even play Epic 7 for the first 2 weekends, which is going to suck. But when I come back, I'm grinding that event. So, but okay. Hopefully it's pretty good. So this is why I think I can pull Straze is because we're getting this. We're also getting the 70 summon, which will be pretty nice. And we get all this other goodies. We got so much good stuff. So in total, we're getting the 7-day check-in. We're getting the equipment crafting event. We're getting the buff events. We're getting the free on equip event every single weekend. We're getting hunt buffs every single weekend. We're getting free on equip buff every single weekend. We are getting so much stuff. Am I going to farm runes? Yes, I do need to farm a couple of runes. It's just the best time to get ahead on your account. It is the best time to play Epic 7. If you were playing other games, I know there's a lot of really good games. I know Alchemy Stars is kind of popping. I've been playing Alchemy Stars on the side that just came out. I've been playing My Hero Academia that also just came out. If you're playing all of this, you may need to drop them and play some Epic 7. Or try to get another device that you can run Epic 7 on. Which you can use BlueStacks, which I do have a download link in the description. That is an emulator that lets you run it on the computer, right? So, but you really need to try to be playing Epic 7. If you're someone that wants to play long-term Epic 7, now it's the time to play. This month, July. It's the month of Epic 7. So I will probably be putting all my other ones in the back burner, and I do need to farm some events. With that, we talked about it last time I was here, but I didn't make a whole guide. I thought it was useless because I thought we could just talk it on stream, but apparently Car6 made a video and it's popping off. He's doing really good videos. Car6 is popping off with his guides. I gotta give him credit where credit is due. He has a vision and he has a target audience and he is killing it. But for this event, as always, what I like to tell people, you want to pick a gear set that you can use on a variety of units. What does this mean? Don't pick any set that's not speed set or immunity set and maybe counter set, right? If you get anything besides those, you're not getting the most value you could possibly get. Because there is a small chance you won't get as much stuff, right? There's a chance you're not going to get the subsets you want. There's a small chance, right? It's RNG. This event is still RNG. So there's a very small chance you won't get the perfect substats, which means you may have to settle for something that is not the intended original piece. So if you're looking for a very specific piece for Robbie, Robbie could fall off and then that piece becomes useless. Which is why I suggest speed set. I'm always lacking in speed rings. So I'm getting a speed attack set ring. I already know that's what I want. So I click speed set. And I highly suggest, don't even look at these top ones. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Look at these. Don't look at these. This is useless. Don't get these. You are wasting this event if you get these three. Do not pick a weapon, a helmet, or an armor. Pick a neck, a ring, or a boot. Why? Statistically, if you pick anything that is not these three, these have a set main stat roll, which means that there is less RNG because you're only trying to get 4 stats, right? The 4 substats. If you are going for these, there are 5 stats that are RNG, which is a lot harder to get. So statistically, and these cost less reforge mats, right? So this costs not reforge mat crafting mats. This costs less crafting less crafting materials, and they have less RNG for you to roll something good. Whereas neck, ring, and boot are significantly harder to roll good for and cost more to craft. It's kind of a no-brainer, right? Make sure you're doing these 3. Don't get baited. I know how tempted it is to get the perfect piece for your unit, but then you can just roll what you don't want and it's trash, right? So make sure you are going for these 3, please. That's the only thing I can ask. I can't tell you the set. You can still do whatever you want with the set. My recommendation is something that's general, but you are wasting this event if you go for one of these 3. That's all I got to say about that. Make sure you're going for these 3, right? These 3 right here. And for the members, I will type it up so you guys have it in a community post. So you have this information. The other thing, and then for the substats, just roll as many times as you want. But for the substats, I can't show you because I haven't been farming today. For the main stat, pick what you want, although I recommend picking something that's hard to get and it's something that you're going to be using a lot. And last, but definitely not least, don't rush this event. You can only craft 1 piece. You have 30 days. Why settle for something that doesn't have your every single ideal substat when you have 30 days and you get to save the roll? Don't rush it. Unless you have every substat and every substat is high roll, you should not get that piece until the end of the month. Wait, you have 30 days, dude. And you can keep all your rolls. You can keep the best rolls, you can keep them. Like, don't like just wait. Just wait till you get as close as possible to the perfect piece. I see so many people, and I guarantee you, by the end of this weekend, you will see a Reddit post of someone who has the right substats, but they're all low roll. I'm telling you right now, you get to keep the substat. There's 0 reason not to wait. Exactly. Even if you get a 5 speed roll, who cares? It's probably not going to roll into speed. Why sack your other stats when you can potentially get 5 speed and even better substats, right? So don't sack this event. It's 30 days for you to get potentially the best piece in your account, right? Don't flounder this opportunity that Smilegate gave you to get a really good piece, right? This could be the best piece you'll ever see. So pick something that's general, like a set, like speed set, immunity set, counter set, kind of. Pick a main stat that is something that you'll be able to use in a warrior units. So that's why I pick ring with attack buff, and then do other stuff. Burning Passion will be available every single weekend. So if you're someone that likes to spend, this is a good time to spend on leaves. So did my first crafting piece come out okay? No, because it happened that month I was not playing Epic 7 enough, so I didn't get to roll a lot. So it didn't turn out too good. But that's more on me that I wasn't farming. But this is during the biggest hunt event of your life. So this is not during the biggest hunt event of your life. So you are going to be playing a lot. You are going to get a lot of rolls. XQC, I don't know. I don't know if I sound like XQC, but I've heard that before. You're not the first one that's told me this. But that's all I gotta say. I am very passionate about this because I guarantee you. But then you'll know when you go on Reddit, you'll know who are not King Blair fans because you'll see people posting their pieces that are subpar before this weekend is over. I guarantee you on Reddit, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I already know, and that's how you'll know they're not a King Blair watcher because they didn't watch this stream and they don't know to wait because there's no reason not to. And you can even do it after the event. So even if you forget to after, you still have 2 weeks after. So that's what we got, right? That's amazing stuff. I don't have a lot of time left, so sadly I don't get that much time for speculations. That's the last thing I wanted to do. I think I covered all the updates to a pretty good detail. Hopefully you guys feel that well. So buff guesses. I don't get as much time to do them because I do have to leave within the next 10-15 minutes, sadly, because I have a prior commitment. But as far as who I think can get buff, I think Cess is a massive one to get it. I think Cess has the highest chance to get a buff. Why? Because he's getting a rerun and because he needs it, right? So it's a unit that needs the buff, and it's a unit that is getting a rerun. So Cess, very likely to get it. I really do think Cess will get it. For the MLs, it's usually always one ML. I can't think when they've never done 2 ML heroes at the same time, have they? I don't think they've done 2 ML heroes at the same time. To be completely honest with y'all, I don't think they've done that. So I don't think they've done 2 ML heroes at the same time. Right? Which is not great. Which means, because there's some ML heroes that do need buffs. So if we're assuming it's one, the one I think it's the most likely to get the buff is either MLK or Judge Kise. And I'm leaning towards Judge Kise. Because why do I think it's going to be Judge Kise? When smilegate buffs a playstyle, they like to overbuff a playstyle, right? Or they like to counter it, which is why I think MLK could be a good option. But when smilegate buffs a playstyle, we know Cleve is getting Straze, right? Cleve is getting a lot of tools recently. They got Flam buffs as well, and they got a lot of good stuff, even Carrot to an extent. Judge Kise is a Cleve unit. And knowing smilegate, they're going to buff Judge Kise because they like to give a certain playstyle everything. Think back in Control. Control got 4 units back to back, right? Before they started getting messed up. So I really do think they'll buff Judge Kise because she really does need it. She's not that good anymore. She just gets countered way too hard by a lot of units and outshined. So I think they'll buff Judge Kise. And that's the most likely one I think they will do. And MLK also has a good chance to get buffed because people have been wanting MLK to get buffed for a very long time. So I may finally find out which one I'm going for in the connections. I may be going for MLK. If it's MLK, I'll go for Judge Kise if it's Judge Kise. But MLK, I mean, he's right there. A small tweak to MLK could make him really good, especially because he's a really good counter towards Cleve, right? So if they make it, even if this makes it so it can always counterattack, if they make this so it also counterattacks on an AoE, right, as a skill, if they make this a skill that can trigger on an AoE, MLK could be the Landy counter. So there's a good chance that they could do something spicy for MLK, right? So I think MLK, really good chance. And then the other ML hero that I think really needs is Apocalypse Robbie. Apocalypse Robbie is trash right now. I don't care what anyone tells me. I have this unit built. She's an amazing gear. Fully Mulgore out. Fully 6-starred. There is never a match that I go into that I'm like, A Robbie would be a good option here. I have not had that in ages. There is no match where A Robbie does better than any other Brewster in this game. She needs something. She needs an identity. Right now, she has no support for her team. She has no debuffs. And her only support for her team is very selfish. It needs to kill. Right? They could take off the kill condition and she could be really good as a reviver. That could be really good. Right? If they take off the kill condition, this could be ridiculously good. If they make it pen light units, this could be really good. If they make this skill somehow support allies, it could be really good. I mean, there's a lot of ways they can buff A Robbie that doesn't make her overtuned, but makes her have a purpose. Right now, she has no purpose. She has nothing unique about her, and she's very selfish. DJ Basar, no, I think DJ Basar is completely fine. DJ Basar, I think, does not need a buff. Right? Most other ML heroes are fine. I don't think they need it. As far as 4-stars, oh man, what 4-star doesn't need a buff? That's not ML, of course. Honestly, for 4-stars, it's just kind of like, who doesn't need a buff kind of deal. But just looking at it, if I had to eyeball the units, Serato could use a buff, but I don't think they'll buff him because he's a control unit and they hit control. Karen's okay. I mean, she does her job. Kartua could use it. He could be pretty unique. Sid's fine. Acades is fine. He's fine. Dingo could get a buff. Clarissa already got an EE, so I don't think she'll get a buff. Leo's fine. Lots is fine. Maya already got a buff. Carly could definitely use one. Purgus could also use one and be pretty viable. Crosset could use one and be pretty viable. Domino could use one. Domino already got one, and she's still trash. Cyrilla could get one, but it wouldn't do much. Roman could be really good for control if they actually buffed him. Ren's already amazing. Angelica just got an EE. Surin is okay. Kawasu and Kawana both suck, but Kawana already got a buff, so I don't think she'll get another one. Kawasu already got a buff too, I believe. Furious is fine. Kisunai is okay. I mean, she's niche. Shadow's already got buffed and she's still trash. She already got a buff. She could get a buff and be a good Cleve option if they want to make Cleve stronger. Some people tell me Guiding Aether is a slept on. ML Leo can still use a buff, even though he's gotten buffed 2 times already. And who else? Great Chief Kawana would be really cool for her to get a buff. I want her to be a PvP viable unit. I feel like this design is wasted, stuck on Katie's, and apparently people don't even use her for Katie's. Think about it this way. People don't use her on Katie's hunt, and she's made for Katie's hunt. They made a unit just for Katie's hunt, and she's not used in Katie's hunt. If that happens, you just gotta bite the bullet and buff her for something else. Smilegate, come on now. Either make her super broken for Katie's, where she's a must pull base, or not must pull, it's like just makes it dummy easy, or she's PvP. Like, come on. She looks so good. I really hope she's there, but I doubt because she's very new, and Smilegate doesn't like to admit when they're wrong right away. Right, they like to stall before they admit that they're wrong. So it's just, it feels wasted on that she's only works for a single hunt. That's Katie's, and she's not even the optimal unit there. People prefer Seaside over picking her. So they build her for a thing that she doesn't even do well. Smilegate. I don't know what to say. She does, I mean, she can function, but nothing close to Seaside. So she could use a buff. As far as 5 stars, Mort. If Mort is not on this list, they are memeing him. I know he got an EE, but he is still so trash. Please buff Mort. Please buff Mort. Mort needs the buff. Please buff Mort. That's all I gotta ask. Please buff Mort. He needs it. He really needs it. He needs it probably more than any other unit. Lilibel still sucks, but she has more playability than Mort does. Let that sink in. Lilibet has more viability than Mort. I don't think they should buff Violet, because Violet, all he needs is an EE. Violet doesn't need a buff, he needs an EE. Violet's fine, but all he needs is an EE. He needs an extra push. He doesn't need a whole kit rework, right? Besides that, honestly, most units are okay. Emo Cowrick, I think not for this patch. I think it's too soon for Emo Cowrick. I think they need to wait one more patch, because I still think people are trying to figure him out. He's pretty new, and it usually takes a couple months for people to really figure out how he works. So I wouldn't buff Emo Cowrick just quite yet. Like he's a contender for getting buffs, but there's units that have been waiting for longer and that are way more useless, right? He's not useless. Other units are useless, right? There's other MLs that need it more than him. Elnaf could use a buff, kind of, but I don't think she should get it yet. Honestly, it's more of an EE thing. I don't know what's wrong with her. Luna, I honestly don't necessarily think she needs the buff. Hear me out. Why? Because she's okay in PvE. I know she's limited, but I don't think she particularly needs it. Alencia needs an EE as well. She doesn't need a buff. She needs an EE. Other ones are okay. Like, they could use buffs, but they don't. There's more EE type buffs. Most of these units are EE. Bellona is still okay. She's still fine. Tenebria needs an EE. I don't think she needs a buff. Oh, Armentia. This unit sucks. She's always sucked. She's gotten like 2 buffs already. 2 to 3 buffs, and she still sucks. Smilegate can't decide what to do about her. They need to give her an identity. She's just strictly worse MLR. By all intents and purposes, she's just MLR. Yufin could get a buff because he kind of sucks too. And that's it. That's the units that suck. Haste could get a buff too, honestly. It's just, I don't think they should buff new units right away, especially when they were just released. At least wait one more patch before they actually buff them. And then there's also things that are like, they may not need buffs, and an EE might be enough. So like Charlotte, I think that was more than enough. The EE actually makes Charlotte really good. Mui got really good with her EE. Tenebria, all I think she needs is an EE. I don't think she needs a whole buff. So buff and EE is usually when you really want to fix a unit. Cena could use one too. So, but Haze also got one recently, so I don't think they will. I don't think they're gonna buff any season 3 units besides Mort. How they buffed the unit? Yes, Cerise, but it was in the same patch. Since the Cerise Landy buffs, they haven't buffed. And Luna, they gave her an EE. So on that one patch where they buffed Luna, Landy, and Cerise, they haven't done it again. But yeah, Sino needs a whole kit rework as well. So there's a lot of units that need buffs, but the pool is getting smaller for the 5 stars. I will say this, for the 5 stars, the pool of units that need buffs is significantly smaller than it was a while back. Hey, what's up, Ferris? Glad you could make it to the stream. And I feel it with League. But yeah, no, man. I think Mort needs a buff, man. Don't do my boy Mort dirty. He's been trashed for way too long. Please, don't let him be that way. He never got to enjoy anything. Athletica could use a buff, but I don't think quite just yet. I think Jugs needs it more than anyone. So, Blaze Stingle's already fine. Leo, regular Leo is more than enough. Emma Leo can use a buff. But for the most part, the list is getting smaller. Smilegate's doing a good job on making most units viable, whether for PvE or PvP. Which is why I don't think Luna needs quite a buff just yet, because she is viable for PvE. I think it's more important that they buff units that are not viable than units that are viable but just a little underwhelming. Right? So, oh man. But yeah. Okay, sadly I do have to go because I do have a prior commitment. Sadly. And yes, injury set is still trash. I talked about it earlier on. So yeah. That's all I got for you guys today. I wish I could have stayed longer. But TLDR, we talked about all the updates. Hopefully we'll see tomorrow. You may see a quick video, quick update from me in the community, depending how big it is, on the new buffs. If it's nothing big, it'll probably just be a community post because I'm someone that I don't like wasting people's times on videos that I could have easily just done a 2-paragraph paragraph for, right? So like things like this event, like the Artina event, I don't feel like this needs a full video. But maybe it does. But some, like other people do the videos. But me personally, I don't like making videos on something that I don't think can't be done in a paragraph. So if the buffs aren't significant, like if they're kind of like lame buffs, you won't get a video at all. If they're super lame, I might not even post at all. I'll just wait for them to actually come down. So that's all I got for you guys today. For Robbie and Crawl, that video should be posting afterwards. I will say highly consider Crawl, but just know that I did go really deep. I know I'm going to see a comment on the video. They're like, King, why you have no resources? So yeah. Hopefully they have announcements and I'll be able to tell you guys. But yeah, see you next time. I will not be able to stream this Sunday. I should be able to stream on Monday and probably the Wednesday. But then on Thursday and the whole next weekend, I will be gone again. But then after next weekend, my schedule goes back to being normal. So you guys will get a much more normal King Blair schedule in the future. So I'm sorry if I've let you guys down with weird schedules and stuff like that. I will try to be more on schedule in mid-July. I should have a better schedule. So, what are you making from Hunt event? Attack set, ring, speed set, rephrase that. Speed, ring, main stat, attack, full DPS, so attack, flight attack, speed, crit rate, and crit damage ring. So that's all I got for you guys today. If y'all enjoyed, make sure to like and sub. And that's all I got, and I will see you next time. Peace.